Hello, welcome to Richardson's Rubicon. My name is John Richardson. I'm joined today by Melinda Kucsera, who is the author of Curse Breaker Enchanted. And I'm so unprofessional, I keep on having to look down at my sheet to see if I'm pronouncing things correctly. So this show is all about world building, and what we do is we take authors take us through their world building that they've done in their stories and books. And we try and sort of ask questions to pick it apart if we can. And I can tell you it's probably very, very difficult to pick this one apart. So, Melinda, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
I love the intro. That was such a cool introduction.
Oh, thank you so much. You can visit again. Right, so on with the book then. So let us get started. Can you give us a synopsis, really, about what the story's about and who is Saarn when we first meet him?
Sure. Curse Breaker Enchanted is about a guy who has magic, and he's living in a world that would like to legislate away magic. They've made it illegal, and they would like the magic to quietly disappear and not bother anybody and just not be there anymore. But that doesn't. You can't legislate magic away. You can try, but it doesn't quite work. So when we first meet Saarn, he's indentured. He's living in an underground city that was created by a race that no longer exists. Nobody knows what happened to them. They left this whole underground city. So if you think of like the Mines of Moria, they wandered in and found something like that, but there was no Balrog, thankfully. So they were like, this is a nice underground city. Let's just take this over and live here. So that was earlier. When Saarn's living there, they've been living there a while and trying to modify it. But, the place was carved out by magic. So there's not a whole lot you can do with that. So they just kind of make do with what is there. And it's a vertical city because it's inside a mountain, so there are levels. And Saarn lives on the lowest level, and he is indentured to the Rangers. And the Rangers, their job is to go out into the Enchanted Forest and basically like keep people alive, keep people from pissing off the forest. And because the forest it's not only enchanted, it's quasi-sentient. Nobody is entirely sure how sentient, how much it really understands. It has 3 rules: start no fires, carry no weapons, do no harm. You can get around the rules, obviously. If you wrap a sword in a blanket, they're not gonna see it. They don't have eyes. They can sense things, but if you wrap it in like a thick blanket, they're not gonna sense the metal. So you'll be okay. But you should not pull that sword out at any point because that will make them angry. They don't like edged metal. If you start a fire, they will probably kill you. So not advised. Take one of the glowing crystals that they have called Lumiere crystals, and there is a red variety that makes heat. Take that with you for warmth because you can't start a fire. You want to cook? Use the red Lumiere crystal. So the Rangers go out basically to keep people alive in the forest, but they only go a certain number of miles from the mountain because they're not responsible for the entire Enchanted Forest. Every settlement is they need to take care of their part of it and just keep people alive. So he's out doing that, and then they get word that something weird is going on in the forest, and it's like, okay, well, it's enchanted, weird stuff happens all the time, no big deal. They go check it out, but this is beyond weird because there's a whole group of hikers and they are dead, and the trees obviously killed them, but they don't see any like reason for it. There's not there, so they have to figure out like what the heck happened. And
there's no edged metal, there's no fire, there's nothing obvious that would have triggered the forest at all.
These are people who know the rules and they can't figure out what's going on. And there's a fell feel to it. So it's feeling like something else is involved. This is beyond the norm. The other thing is there's a dead child. The forest will not kill a child. They assume that if you're a kid, you don't actually understand the rules. So you have some leeway with them. If you try to set a tree on fire, though, it won't kill you if you're a child, but it will probably teach you a lesson that you won't soon forget.
Right.
Yeah, they are true. They're not human. So, yeah. So, and that's the thing that really gets to Saarn. There is a dead child, and he can't really handle that. And then the forest just starts burying them because there's some evil magic. There's something going on with this, and I mean, if you're a tree, I guess it makes sense. You don't know what to do with this. There's something wrong with this. We'll just bury it, and that'll get rid of it. And Saarn is like, this is not cool. I can't handle this. So, he has a little boy of his own that he is hiding, and for many reasons. One of the reasons he's hiding is he doesn't want his son to be indentured. He doesn't want him to have to owe anything to anybody and to live as free and make his own decisions. Can't do that if he if they find out about the little boy while he is still indentured, because as an indentured person, you cannot marry, you cannot have children. You have to pay back your indenture. Somebody put out some money for you to do something. In his case, it was room and board because he was an orphan for him and his brother. So he is indentured to pay off room and board and his brother's schooling. And the indenture is supposed to end when his brother's school, well, when all that debt is paid off. But because he has magic and the person who owns who's not, he doesn't really own it, but the Lord of the Mountain who runs that city would like to have a mage on retainer, and magic is illegal. Mages are also illegal and subject to the death penalty if they are discovered. So in order to keep a mage on hand that you have easy access to, you need to indenture them so that they are, so that they can't leave you, and they have to do what you want, because it becomes a whole thing.
Well, thanks very much for coming on, Melinda. You've answered all my questions.
Yeah, the short answer, there is something going on, and he does have to work it out, and it leads him on a merry chase. As well, he doesn't really enjoy it, but
So when you first thought of this story, when was it that you thought yes? I mean, was it a process that actually took a while, or did it all of a sudden click into place?
It took a while. I've been the world kind of existed first. There was this enchanted forest, and people lived in it, and I was like, why? I mean, I was a little kid when I came up with this. I grew up in, like, if you live in New York City, you would consider it upstate New York, but like, I could still get on a train and get into the city. But like, we were at the edge of a state park, so there were trees everywhere, and we would go and play in the woods. Like, that was a thing you did as a kid if you in that town. And so I had this enchanted forest, and they weren't really intelligent at that point. I don't remember when they started. Probably when I saw the animated Lord of the Rings. I think that's where I got the idea that, well, maybe the trees could walk and talk. I'm not sure. Somewhere in childhood, I saw something, and that gave me the idea. And according to my mom, as soon as I learned how to write my name, I was trying to write stories and things. So we had the world, and just trying to. At the time, I wasn't trying to write books or anything. It was just figuring out this interesting place. And then at some point, I guess when I was a teenager, I was like, we should probably write down what all this world is, where things are, try and figure out why things are the way they are. Because up until then, it was like, cool, let's just explore. And this random place that is in our imagination that came out of nowhere. And then I think I was in high school, and I was like, I was in the library, and I was like 15, I think, or 16, and they were like, and didn't want to, it was a very small library, and I didn't want to read any more of the teen books, and they were like, well, you can look at the adult books. So I found there was a couple of shelves that had fantasy books, and I had never come across a fantasy book before. So I picked up The Winds of Fate by Mercedes Lackey, which is a fantasy book. That was the first fantasy book that I ever read where it was like, wait, you can have magic and run around and have adventures and write books on this. So that's when I started like, well, I have this fantasy world where they have magic and people run around doing cool things. I could write a book about this. So I started trying to figure out what could I write. And so kept trying all the way through college, and then after college, and while I was working, just playing around with different ideas about like, well, what cool thing would they be doing that we can write a book about? And at some point, they went to this Mount Eredrin, and there was a city under it. I'm like, cool, we have a city, we have a vanished race. There's got to be a story here. And I played around with different characters who might live there, and nothing worked. Nothing worked. And then one day, I was sitting there trying to write from the point of view of whatever character I was using at that time. And then Saarn walks onto the page, and there is suddenly a story. Who is this person? They have magic. It's illegal. They have a lot of magic. They have 2 types of magic too, and they only know how to use one of them. They don't know anything about the other one. They don't know they're an orphan. They don't know too much about their origins. And it just kind of, from there, it just went from there. Enchanted is actually not the first book that I started writing about Saarn. It was actually Curse Breaker Joust, which I wanted to be the first book, but my sister read part of it and said this is not a first book. So then I was like, okay, well, what could they do before Joust that would lead into the Joust? Because the Joust story is they go to a Joust. He's trying to hide his son, but trying to go to a Joust because he's idolizes the knights of Mount Eredrin, and monsters show up, and and then
Right.
in the course of fighting the monsters and stuff, obviously people are running around. They're going to see him use magic, and it becomes really impossible to hide. But so I just kept trying to find, okay, well, what did Saarn do before Joust? And then eventually the story for Curse Breaker Enchanted crystallized. But then after Enchanted, they wouldn't let me do Joust. They ended in such a way that I couldn't do Joust, and couldn't do Joust up until I boxed them in at the end of book 11. So now I am rewriting Curse Breaker Joust from the original draft I wrote in 2012, and it's the heart is still there. There's still a Joust. The monster's still interrupted, but for different plot reasons. And there's additional monsters, and so now there's like the ratio of heroes to monsters and villains is like much lower. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant. Right, so that's gone through quite the transformation piece then, and it started way back when. Back when. So, right, now then, we've talked about the Enchanted Forest a couple of times now.
Yes.
And I think you've given me a flavor of it. It's like Fangorn Forest or something like that from Lord of the Rings, which has now had 3 mentions.
Yeah, my favorite. I love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I love them too.
I didn't read the books till after I saw the movies because they came out when I was a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
Or junior. It came out in 2001, and I was in college in 2001.
Yeah.
I got the books, but I couldn't read them because, college courses have lots of reading and writing assignments.
Yeah. Right, so the forest, basically I was going to ask if it's a fairy tale wonder forest, a nightmare, or something in between. And I think we've kind of...
It's definitely something in between, because in addition, because the trees are not just like wild. I mean, I guess some of them are a bit feral, but there is also the queen of all trees, and she is like, if Galadriel was a massive glowing silver tree, that is who the queen of all trees is.
That is who the queen of...
Right. Yes, she is very Galadriel-like, but she is a massive tree. And she goes through the forest, and you can ask her for a boon. She might give it to you. She might not. I don't know. She has been known to help travelers. She is like more like a symbol of hope, because you can see she's like 1,000 feet tall. She can change her mask, and she can teleport and do some other things, but you can see her from far away because she glows. So she's kind of a symbol. Like, there's many scenes throughout the book where they see her from a distance, and when things are kind of not going well, and you see this distant, magical, amazing
little bit of hope.
Yeah, she is that symbol of hope.
Yeah. So this Enchanted Forest, then, you mentioned a lot of settlements and people responsible for the safe travel and safe conduct of the people in their settlements. This Enchanted Forest, how big is it, roughly? It sounds huge.
It is. It covers almost the entire country. And the almost part is there's the underground cities. There's 12 of them. From this long banished race of stone mages that they had created. That's where they used to live. There are valleys where the trees don't grow, and so people live there. And there are some craters where some magical catastrophes happened in the past, and the forest doesn't go there. It's not into twisted, weird magic. So in the past, well, I'm sure it's going to happen again. People have, because the magic comes from sentient creatures, you can make a deal with them. You're not stuck with whatever magic you inherited. You can change your magic. You can get more magic. You can collect all the magic if you want. And there have been people in the past who collected all the magic and then went insane from it, because nobody should have that kind of power, and did all kinds of insane things and scarred the world. And that's why I said settlers, because a lot of people who live in the country where I write most of my books about, they are not native to that place. They came from somewhere else because someone collected all the magic and then decided to build a second sun because, I don't know, they decided that was a great idea one day. or they decided to blast a hole through the earth, or like really destructive things that made where you were currently living uninhabitable. So you have to flee. So there's a lot of people moving around to
Is
escape magical disasters, and
yeah.
then there are magic races who try to clean that stuff up and contain it once the person who tried to catch them all
Is
either destroys himself or is stopped somehow.
is this danger of magic one of the reasons it's supposedly outlawed?
Partially, that's part of it. There is a fear, and that fear is justifiable, because too much magic does drive people crazy. There's also the people who are currently ruling the country where Saarn lives. They overthrew the Queen of all Trees' bondmate, Queen Shayari, and she has a lot of magic, and she is very unhappy about things. But she won't do anything to harm the people. She doesn't like the current government, but she's not. She doesn't. I don't know. She won't. She was in sleeping for a long time. She's not completely human.
So,
And
what's the
where I'm going
reason for
too much.
the anti-magic laws then?
Yes. So that's right, the anti-magic laws. So part of it is against her, because if they destroy if they once this they killed her the people she had put in power, because she was protecting the country from a worse threat. So she was not in the capital. So they overthrew the people she put in and killed all the people that were helping her keep out the I don't want to go into what's outside of the country,
Mhm.
because there's a magic wall around it.
Just call them the others.
Yeah, there was a magic wall that was put around the country that a couple of people sacrificed their lives to build because of all this going on. And they because those people with magic were supporting her, that's what the laws came in, and so they could kill off more and more mages and kill off more and more people who were supporting her, and that just made her more and more um, grieving for all of that, for all this death, all this loss, because she can't be everywhere. She is only one person. Uh, she does not really teleport. The Queen of all Trees can, and they are kind of bondmates, but Queen of all Trees is a giant tree and has a different understanding of things.
Yeah.
So and the grief from all that, and the magic she expended to keep out the others, she went to sleep for a long time. So they thought if they get rid of mages, then she'll have no support when she eventually reemerges, and
Right.
then they'll
So
have
that
turned
was the
people
reason.
against her because she has magic, and against also the Queen of all Trees. And they want to get rid of the Enchanted Forest. So there are these anti-magical stones, the Black Lumiere crystals. They absorb magic, and the ruling class is in league with the Seekers. They're a religious order who is about getting rid of magic, and they have been looking for these stones. They have found them, and they're using them now in the current stories.
Using them quite aggressively to get rid of
Yes,
magic. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's because if you can expand, if you get rid of if the forest stops being enchanted, you can cut the trees down, because they
Yeah.
can't build anything with wood, because the trees will
Yeah.
they will not like it if you try to cut them down. So yeah, so you have to build everything out of stone and everything, and maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to build things with trees. There are a ton of them out there, but you have to get rid of the magic before you can use it. So it's
Right.
all kind of complicated and bound up.
It's
But
all layered and linked.
yes,
Okay.
starting
So
to pull on those in the books that I'm writing now and
yeah.
see how can we unravel some of this.
So the protagonist, we'll go back to him for a second,
Yes,
right? And that's Saarn, who is the
yes,
protagonist. I'm looking at a picture on my other screen right here. I wish I should really be able to share it, but I'll mess it up. I know I'll mess it up, so I'm not going to try. Green glowing eyes.
yes.
It's a bit of a get dead giveaway for magic use, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So how does he avoid giving away that he's a magic user?
He's not very good at it. I have to say, I don't. There's a line in one of the books, and he's like, where he says like, "Why are people noticing it more now than before?" And his friend's like, "They always noticed before. There just weren't as many people around." He works primarily at night because glowing eyes is an advantage at night. And if you're and a lot of people do know about him, especially down where he lives in the lowest level of the underground city, because everyone down there is enchanted. I'm sorry, is indentured, and you're living down there, you would like to know that if there is a cave-in or something, that there is somebody you can tap on the shoulder and be like, hey, can you do something? Because he would be an asset in that situation.
Yeah, so this is a circumstance where he'd be very useful, and therefore it would be against their interests if they snitched him up, as it were.
Exactly. So the indentured, many of them know he exists. They know where he lives. They know that he has earth magic, and they just kind of don't say anything to anybody because you want to have somebody who can help you if there's a problem, and you want to know how to get to that person quickly. When he is
So the flip side of this, the Seekers, right? What would they do if they found him with his little green eyes?
They would kill him.
They would kill him. So it's like an instant death.
They don't have a method for instant death,
right?
But they would use
it's capital punishment.
Yes, they would try to put him to death. They are coming, and we are going to see him versus them. I don't know if it'll be number 13 or number 14, but they're coming. I don't know when, but they're coming soon, and I'm going to have to find out what happens with that.
Right.
But
okay. I just wanted to get the law right, and
but they're not the only people who could put him to death. Anybody within who is ruling it, even his own master, should put him to death. Everybody who doesn't, who knows he exists, is breaking the law, but he has some protection from that. But but before we get into the protection, how he gets around it, there's a lot of tunnels under the mountain, and many of them go outside onto the meadow that surrounds it and into the forest, so he can get out without going anywhere that anybody would see him. Also, he has earth magic, and his magic likes to map things. Part of it is his magic like to map things. Part of it is he likes to know where he is and where other things are. So he is often using his magic to create a 3-dimensional map of what the heck is around, and he can ask his map to help him find a way, or his magic anyways, around people. So he often uses that to get around things, and it's in chapter 2 of Curse Breaker Enchanted. He can also use that earth magic, can shut his eyes, put a blindfold on so that the light doesn't leak out, because his magic he has is light based, so it's very visible, which he hates. He doesn't hate the magic, he does not like that he's so visible. And that 3-dimensional map, it's inside his head. It can zoom in or zoom out. So he can zoom out to see what's going on in the surround, or he can zoom in to his current location. And he could walk around completely blindfolded and see it's like a green 3-dimensional mesh, wireframe mesh of the world, and just kind of navigate. So he does that a lot in the earlier books.
Question.
Yeah, sorry. He has many ways that he is.
So, just a quick question then. So, this magic that he's got, what happens? Does it fail at any point?
Yes.
It does. So, is it under stress situations, or does that just cause stress situations? How does it fail? Why?
Okay, so there's different circumstances why it might fail. One, he may try to pull 2 magic too fast. That'll knock you out. He does that actually at the end of the first chapter in Curse Breaker Enchanted. He can his magic likes to map, and if he's tired and he doesn't have a good grasp on it, it might map way more than he can handle, and that will knock him out. That does happen, I believe, in book 1. It happens in multiple books because, And
I need to mention to the listeners that basically there must be. You mentioned that you've written 35 books.
Yes.
How many books are in this series?
There's 11 published, and I'm writing the 12th. There's a couple of prequels. There's some side adventures. I have yet to write a book that Saarn doesn't show up in somewhere. I tried. I really did. We had an alt timeline where he died, and he still showed up.
Right. Okay. So the point being is, we're talking primarily here about book 1, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying, but they're all.
There's so many books.
So much about him that it's hard.
Yeah. So you're going to get occasional glimpses into future, books later in the series.
Yes.
And we just want to, just say you have been warned.
Yeah, I'm not the right person to talk to if you don't want spoilers. I'm
That's right. Yeah.
I like spoilers as a reader, so yeah.
Indenture compulsion. So
Yes.
this magically enforced. What does this indenturing look like in real
Sure.
time? How is it enforced? Is it magically enforced? Is it just societally enforced? How does that work?
So for most everybody, it's societally enforced. There are rules. You have to be places. If you're usually indentured into to someone to do a job, so you have to show up and do that. And if you don't, they can mark that down, and then you're not paying off your indenture, and then so your indenture just lengthens. If you damage something, that gets added onto it. But for Saarn, there's an additional twist because he has two types of magic. One type is the earth magic, which doesn't really care too much about this whole indentured business. The other one does care because so the other one is white magic, and it is a curse breaking because he is a curse breaker. So that is the curse breaking magic. So curses are lies. To put someone under a curse, you make them believe that this lie is true. It is their truth. So and they embrace that,
no,
and
I don't
that
take responsibility at all.
Good one. Yeah. So to break a curse, you restore someone back to their essential truth. Saarn does not know any of this. He only realizes in Curse Breaker Enchanted midway through when that he even has a second type of magic because his earth magic doesn't like water and he has to swim across the river. And so his earth magic flees into the core of him. It's like I hate water, whatever. And the other magic is like, hello.
Hello,
How
I
are
like
you?
water.
I don't have a problem with it, but it shows up a little bit, and he's vastly confused because up until that point he thought he had one type of magic,
Right.
he does not. So, and he could never figure out why, if he promised someone, why he has to follow through on that promise no matter what. This magic, which he thought was his earth magic, would force him to do whatever he promised. So when they indentured him, he had to promise to abide by the agreement. He had to promise to do what the Lord of the Mountain said and follow the orders from whoever the Lord of the Mountain put over him. That was literally what he promised. So when the Lord of the Mountain told him, you need to do whatever the head of the Rangers says, and that the promise can be passed on, and his white magic makes no distinction. It will force him to do that. But the other
so
yeah, I don't want to get into this. Is a spoiler, but I'll keep it for later.
Okay, so a quick question.
Yes,
the white magic is forcing him to keep his promises and do all these things that people tell him to do. What happens when he tries to disobey?
Pain. It literally, the white magic turns on him and it will hurt him until he obeys. Yeah.
That's essentially
his son has figured out that he has to do what he promises. So there's an addition to the adventure. There's Sunny Boy who has figured out this loophole.
Nice. Don't you hate it when the kids have got one up on you?
He uses it for a good thing because if like Saarn, because he's trying to pay off indenture, he works very long hours, and his son figures out, I believe it's at the end of Curse Breaker Enchanted, that that promise, because his son is also going to be a mage, that there is a magical tie between them because of that promise, and he yanks on that when a shadow monster shows up. And Saarn he teleports almost successfully. It doesn't quite work because he has no idea what he is doing, and he has no idea what the heck is happening. But in a later book, something similar happens, and he does get it right. He does teleport there, and his son does yank on the promise. So there's that fun thing there too. Okay. So it can create a bond, the promise, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whilst we've brought up the subject of the sun, right? Why does Saarn have to keep the sun's secret?
He's afraid he'll lose the boy because as an indentured person, you can't marry, you can't have children. So he doesn't want his son to grow up as an orphan, and that's legally what would happen. He would have no control over him. And the other thing is his son is going to be a mage. He doesn't have magic yet. That's actually the son does, but Saarn doesn't know it. And the child doesn't know it because he got second order white magic, which is very subtle. So it's not big and showy. And so he doesn't, it shows up more in the later books. You see exactly what it is, and the kid is using it without knowing it, and nobody else knows that he is using it, but he is influencing things.
Okay. So in that case, keeping his son's secret is obviously quite paramount.
Yes.
Who would be the most dangerous to know about his son? At least in the beginning book.
The Lord of the Mountain, yeah.
The
Because
Lord
we
of the
don't
Mountain.
know. Yeah, we don't know what he would do. We're gonna find out though soon.
Okay.
In a book coming soon, I hope.
Okay. And to keep the secret of his son, right? Has he actually done something that might have cost him to keep that secret? Can you expand on it?
Yes, you see it throughout Curse Breaker Enchanted and in some of the books that follow it, in that none of the Rangers know about them, and because he's worked for the Rangers for 4 or 5 years at this point, like, they're kind of, he cares about them and they seem to care about him as well, and they don't know about the kid. So they will often assume that he wants to go and whatever because he wants to go and check on his younger brother because his brother is 6 years younger than him, and he just won't correct them. His white magic will it doesn't like lies by omission either, but Saarn is able to get away with it because he's not actually lying. He never said he's going to check on his brother when he's going to check on his son. If he's going to check on his son and his brother, he can just mention he's going to check on his brother, and his white magic is not going to react to that because it's not actually a lie. He's not adding this additional information, but he's not lying about what he's doing. So he's gotten really good at very carefully wording things and letting people assume things, and if they don't say their assumption out loud, the white magic leaves him alone. So but there is they do find out about his son in Curse Breaker Revealed at the end, and there's a lot of hurt and anger from people that he knew and trusted who did not know that for 4 years he was raising a little boy in secret.
Yeah. So that's going to be a consequence then for him a bit later.
Yeah.
Wow. So from 2012 to what year are we now? 2026. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So 2026, you've been writing this entire series as well as all of the other books that you've done as well.
Yeah. Well, they're all offshoots of the Curse Breaker series. The Curse Breaker series is this. That's what I want to write, but sometimes the characters don't leave me any choice except writing these other stories because there are other things going on and they want to know about them or be part of them. So
I understand completely. So you've built this one world, I assume, but you've managed to fill it with a cornucopia of characters, haven't you, really? And, a whole bunch of stories. So you must by now have really stress tested your world. There can't be much you don't know about your world.
There's actually a lot I still don't know about it. There's still the Queen stories. There's still I want to get Saarn out of his indenture at some point somehow. I still don't know how. There has to be a way legally to get him out of this and magically, but I don't know what it is yet. And we need to break the curse on the country and and break the curse on his bloodline. I just have no idea how I'm going to do that because characters, they have to agree to do the stories.
They do. Right. Yeah. So, Melinda, people, if they want to know more and find out about your books and find out about you, they can go ahead to visit your website at melindakucsera.com.
Yes.
And basically, that is it. That was essentially about the Curse Breaker series. Primarily the beginning, right, is where we were going there. And that was the world building bit. And there was a lot of good nuggets that came out of that. So thank you very much for coming along, Melinda. And I wish you all the absolute best.
Thank you.